There are just 5 days left in the 2015 legislative session, and a lot of work to be done on key bills that are in the pipeline. Tonight, our team at the Capitol will have the latest news, plus Democratic House member Carolyn Hughley will join us in the studio. Lawmakers starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Lawmakers. I'm Bill Nygett. It is day 35 of the 2015 legislative session, and there is still a lot of work to be done. Tonight we'll get an update from the front lines with Democratic Minority Whip Carolyn Hughley. And first, though, we want to turn to our reporter down at the Gold Dome, Pat St. Clair. What's going on down there, Pat?
Thank you, Bill, and good evening. Georgia is poised to become the 24th state to allow the use of medical marijuana for the treatment of certain medical conditions. Today, the Senate approved HB 1 on a vote of 48-6. That vote avoided the temptation of adding autism to the list of ailments that can be treated by cannabis oil.
There are many families temporarily living out of state, medical refugees, if you will. Haley's Hope Act would allow this specific form of CBD oil, low THC oil. It will enable these medical refugees to come home.
Senator Butch Miller presented the bill to the Senate. One of the first to rise in support was Senator Renee Unterman.
This bill and this law, hopefully it will become law, will be a work in progress because the commission will be formed. We will have representation on that commission. And I think that the perfection of the actual law will occur with policy and with regulation.
Senator Lindsey Tippins rose to offer 3 amendments that would have gutted HB 1 based on his belief that marijuana is illegal under federal law. All 3 amendments failed. But Senator Josh McCoon offered an amendment to add the treatment of autism to HB 1.
I have a constituent in my district who would do anything to help his 7-year-old son with autism. He's been very involved in this process, which I know has been ongoing for a long time. He has repeatedly come to the respective committees. He's asked for this to be added.
But while most senators support autism treatment, they feared what would happen to HB 1 if it was added.
I support the bill in the form that it came out of the committee, and while I personally, and I'm sure many of you would believe that autism might, in the best wisdom, be attached to this bill, I don't want to see the bill die.
And in the end, the bill passed on a vote of 48-6, with only 1 amendment added, which protects companies that have a zero-tolerance policy for drug use. After the Senate passed the bill, we talked with Representative Peake. He said his 15-month fight to get medical marijuana approved in Georgia was well worth it.
I'm overjoyed, quite frankly, for the families that are going to be able to come home, our medical refugees, for families that won't have to have their be split apart by having to move to another state, and for those with cancer and MS and ALS who will potentially be able to have access to cannabis oil that can help them. So it's a good day. I'm grateful to my colleagues. I'm grateful to the leadership of both chambers. I'm grateful to the governor for, I think, kind of showing his support for this initiative as well, too. So it's a good day.
Could you take us behind the scenes to some of the negotiations that were going on? It seems like there was a lot of back and forth there for a while.
Well, what I'm proud of is both my House colleagues and the Senate colleagues today showed they got it. That it's time to show compassion for these families that have had to move away, for those that are hurting and want access to cannabis oil here in Georgia. And so I think it became just more of an education process to make sure we weren't going to be opening up pot shops all over the state. We weren't going to be having 6-year-olds smoking weed. And I think once my colleagues got it, I think that's what gave it the momentum to kind of eventually pass.
Okay. Now, you didn't get everything you wanted. For example, fibromyalgia was in, then it was out, and eventually it was out.
Right.
Is there some way that those things will still be addressed in the future?
Well, I think you'll see through the commission that's been created that we're going to look at what's the best infrastructure, the best model for in-state cultivation in our state. I'm hoping we'll do that next year. But for right now, yes, I'm sorry that we didn't not able to include more diagnoses, but I think we've got a good start with the 8 that are in the bill.
Of course, for Peak, this bill is all about helping alleviate suffering, especially for children with seizure disorders. Blaine and Shannon Cloud have been at the Capitol supporting Peak's bill from the very beginning. Shannon says she is thrilled their 8-year-old daughter, Elena, who has a rare disorder called Dravet syndrome, may now get some relief.
She's on 5 FDA-approved medications right now, and they have terrible side effects. And so our goal through all of this has been to have the ability to try medical cannabis for her, see if it works for her, potentially get her off of all or some of those medications. And she might very well be a completely different child when she's not so drugged up all the time on those meds.
Now the bill goes back to the House as amended, probably tomorrow, where it is expected to easily pass. From there, it's on to the governor's desk. Peak says he is hopeful the governor will sign it before the end of the week. And finally, House Transportation Committee Chairman Jay Roberts was back at work today. He went to the hospital yesterday as a precaution after suffering chest pains. He told his colleagues, "You can't get rid of me that easily." Bill, that's it for us. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Pat. Nearly 900 bills were filed in this legislative session, but you know, the same few keep rising to the surface for conversation. The governor's education plan to take over failing schools and how to fund the state's much-needed transportation improvements, certainly at the top of that list. So we're going to dig in on these topics and the religious freedom bill with our guest tonight, Jim Galloway, who is a political reporter, the political writer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Political Insider is his blog, a must-read every day for those of you who care about politics. And we welcome Representative Carolyn Hughley. She's a Democrat from Columbus. She is a minority whip in the House. Representative Hughley, you've been in the House since 1992, 11 sessions, yes?
All right.
You've seen a lot of things come and go.
I have.
All right. Let's start with what I think we're all really going to be watching for this week. We're told that on Wednesday, tomorrow, the education bill, the governor's education plan, should be in the House, and everybody will get a crack at it. He's going to need some Democratic votes to get this thing passed, it appears, yes?
Yes, I would imagine so.
So where do you stand on this, and where does the Democrat, is the caucus going to take a position on this, the minority caucus? Where do you stand on this bill?
Personally, I am not in favor of it because, for one, it is not a statewide solution. The governor was kind enough to have us go with him to New Orleans, and we looked at what they did, and the solution was for urban areas. And even in the model state, New Orleans, they did not have success outside of the urbanized areas. Georgia is still primarily a rural state, and we have to have a solution that's going to be effective for not only students in Atlanta, but children in places like Tye, Georgia, and Talbot County, Georgia, and places all over. So if we're going to do public policy of this magnitude, changing our Constitution, it should be something that's going to work regardless where students happen to be.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between a rural system and an urban system? Why would this not work? Well,
for one, in rural areas, you might only have one school. And so if the school is on this list, the state will come down and take over the school. They will change the leadership of the school. They can get rid of all the teachers there. And it is not as easy to attract different people to come to those areas, to pick up where they are and to make those changes. The school is the heart of those communities, and if you dismantle that, you have to be very careful in dismantling that such that people will have a way to identify, and you can where are you going to find the people? I mean, who's going to move there?
Jim, you're down there every day and watching. I don't know that you're a vote counter at this point, but what is? We've had some Republicans in the House who have expressed some criticism, a couple of them very strongly of this plan. Where does this? Can the Republicans get this thing across by themselves?
No, they cannot. In the House, we have 119 Republicans, 1 independent, and the rest, the other 60 are Democrats. So, and you already have at least some hints of some bleed-offs. We've had a couple tough fights on transportation and on RFRA, and some House Republicans are getting a little bit tired of being driven. So I think they're going to need some Democratic votes. One question to Ms. Hughley is, I mean, is this a caucus position? Is there a lockdown, or are you going to let everybody vote as they wish?
Our caucus is going to formulate its position in the morning. But the majority of our caucus members have grave concerns about concentrating this kind of power in the governor without any oversight, without any accountability. Because once this starts and we put this into our Constitution, if it doesn't go well, if our constituents complain to us, we're powerless. There's nothing for us to do. There's no recourse until the governor goes out of office. Your
Democratic colleagues on the other side of the building in the Senate came up with this a plan that's a more holistic approach, if we can use that word, an approach based on creating a better community around students. They're basically saying that if you don't take care of a child's nutritional needs, their health needs, all of that sort of thing, you really can't make a difference. Where do you stand on that concept, and do you think that the Democrats on the Senate side are right to look at a plan like that?
I think that we have to look at all types of solutions, and there is no one size that fits all, and that's why I have a problem with the governor is proposing, because in rural areas we need to do things a certain way. In urbanized areas it might be something different. But in any case, we have to meet children where they are. I believe all children can succeed, but we have to provide them with the appropriate resources and supports in order for them to be successful. So changing governance in and of itself is not going to turn around schools. And each school has to be looked at, and we have to diagnose where these children are and why they're not making the mark, and work with them on an individualized basis. And we're not able to do this under the scenario that we've been given.
You know, Jim, you've been covering the Capitol for a long time. You have watched a succession of governors, as I did, with a series of plans for how we're finally going to fix Georgia schools. It's been a topic down there since the 80s at the very, that I know of at least. And yet one plan comes after the other and they keep coming forward. You would imagine that at a certain point, it's hard to stay optimistic, and it's hard to feel that something is going to really work.
Right, and this is very, very different from what we've seen in the past.
Right.
In the past, it has always been about funding. And getting schools the money that they need in an equal manner, so that you have rural school systems fully funded under QBE.
As you say, all the other plans have addressed the entire school system across the state, rather than singling some out.
Exactly, but this is a new approach that's kind of like radical surgery. If you see a bad spot in the body, you go in and you cut it out and you put it under state supervision until it's well. It's interesting. On Monday, the House Education Committee passed it with a lot of help from ex officio members to make the outcome a little bit more lopsided. They made a few changes in the body of the bill, so that on the amendment, voters will still be asked to approve the state intervention for failing schools, but the legislation doesn't use the word failing. It uses qualified.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes a difference to lawmakers.
It does to me, because anytime we put a constitutional amendment before our voters, it should state clearly what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And this constitutional amendment is like asking me, do you love your mother? Of course I do. Do you think the state should intervene in failing schools to improve student outcomes? Of course. But that's not what the underlying bill does.
Okay.
It doesn't tell citizens that if schools do not perform at a certain level on a certain metric, the state can come in and take over those schools.
All right, so we're going to watch very carefully to see what happens with the Democratic caucus as the vote approaches, whether in fact you do assume a caucus position, which could give the governor gray hairs, because he's going to more gray hairs. You can say it, I wasn't. Let's move on, if we can, Representative Hughley, to another issue that obviously is coming to the boiling point in the Capitol, and that's the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, the Josh McCoon bill, Senate Bill 129. Mm-hmm. You're feeling, is this bill necessary, or is it a license to discriminate?
I think it is political posturing at its best. The bill is certainly not necessary by anybody's standards. And unfortunately, it's like a bad penny. It won't go away. It keeps coming back year after year. But it's certainly not necessary. Our religious freedoms are protected in our state and federal constitution. And I'm not, even though he and I are from the same city, no one in Columbus has come to me and said that's a top concern of theirs.
Has there been a caucus position adopted on this, or do you think there will be by the end of the debate?
Before the debate comes to a conclusion, we probably will take a caucus position on that, because it's a license to discriminate, and nobody thinks that that's fair.
Jim Galloway, you had an interesting column in which you pointed out one of the arguments, and Representative Hughley, you're aware of this, I know. One of the arguments is that there are, first of all, you had a column in which you said the Catholic Church is sitting this one out. They've been involved in this in the past.
That may be the biggest difference between the debate this year and the debate last year. Last year you had this alliance between Southern Baptist and the Archdiocese of Atlanta, and this year the Archdiocese has disappeared. They're very much in the background. They've handed me a statement that says they approve of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act as a framework, but they won't be a part of anything that discriminates.
And your speculation is that it's because the Pope has a different attitude about embracing.
Exactly. Yeah, we've seen Pope Francis. He was elected pontiff in the spring of 2013, and before that year was out, he started saying maybe we need to rethink our not church teachings, but at least the tenor is in particularly. He's been trying to build a relationship with the parents of gay and lesbians. And Archbishop Wilton Gregory here in Atlanta has taken that to heart. He has begun meeting with parents of gays and lesbians. He put out a very influential letter in October detailing his encounters with them and how the church needs to improve its tone.
So the other thing that's interesting about this is that there have been some Orthodox Jews who have said they support this bill on the grounds that it is particularly, Jewish law outlaws autopsies, no tampering with the body after death. And some have seen this as the state's right to come in and force an autopsy when it's against halakhic law, strict Jewish law. And yet, we now have one of the more conservative congregations and the head of that congregation coming in and saying, no, there are other ways to deal with that. We're not going to get behind that.
Right. This was Rabbi Joshua Heller of Congregation B'nai Torah, one of the most conservative and largest congregations in Metro Atlanta. He also said something very interesting that a lot of people have picked up on, and that he says he doesn't want there to be a faith test for either serving consumers or employing people.
Right, right. So the bottom line on this, do you think, the Speaker has said, he says what you say. He said, the Constitution protects us already. We don't need this. He said, I haven't been convinced yet that we do need it. And yet, the question really becomes, is the Speaker going to have to accede to the conservative members in the House and do something about this?
Well, I think the Speaker is a great leader, and he understands that this is not going to help us in Georgia. Georgia has been a leader in the southern states, and leaders don't do this kind of thing. And our business leaders are not in favor of us doing that kind of type of legislation. So I believe that the Speaker will consider it very carefully, but I'm hopeful that he will see the wisdom of not allowing this to go forward.
Okay. We have to take a break. Can you stay with us, talk about a few other issues with us? Thank you, Representative Hughley. And Jim Galloway will be with us, of course. Up next, we're going to take a look at the rest of the week and handicap some of the bills that are still out there. We'll be back in a moment.
Next time on Nature, Ireland has one wild river that divides it in two. For 1 year, this native son will make the Shannon his home.
I want to find the hidden places and the creatures living there.
But those creatures may be vanishing.
We live in a country that's undergoing rapid change. Animals aren't good at adapting to fast change.
Part of GPB's Why Wednesday, this Wednesday at 8.
If you're a good Georgian, you love your barbecue.
I think that's awesome. Yeah. Much flavor to it.
I want to eat some barbecue.
Okay.
That is meaty deliciousness.
Nom, nom, nom.
Friday at 8 on GPB.
Right now I'm about 100 feet high, traveling at about 50 miles an hour, just thinking about where I should go next. If you have any ideas, visit us on our Georgia Traveler Facebook page. Gotta go!
On this date, March 24th, 1970, Governor Lester Maddox signed a joint resolution of the General Assembly designating the largemouth bass as Georgia's official state fish. All right. I thought we would start with this segment, Jim, talking to Representative Hughley about transportation, and we will. But since we just heard about the largemouth bass, let's in fact turn first to a bill that you've introduced that has a really lovely story behind it. You have a bill that would name a state mammal. Talk about what that mammal would be and why you introduced this.
It's House Bill 70, and the state mammal would be the white-tailed deer. I got a letter from a group of first graders in my district, and they pointed out—
From what school?
From Rigdon Road Leadership Academy.
A shout out to them.
Yes, and they were wondering why Georgia did not have a state mammal. And I told them that the legislature designates those kinds of things. And so they sent me back a letter and asked me to introduce a bill on their behalf. They wanted to designate the state mammal. And as it turns out, Georgia is one of 3 states that doesn't have one. So we came up with the white-tailed deer in consultation with DNR. They first wanted the gray fox, but DNR suggested that maybe we should go with the white-tailed deer because it's something that's all over our state and that kind of thing. So, and it's you know, helps with our economy and so on and so forth.
It helps with the economy because it's a hunted species.
That's right.
And during the debate, Representative Al Williams asked a very specific question.
He did.
And he asked if he could keep having his venison stew.
And the answer is yes, and the children were watching, and they got all upset. I said, Al, please don't do that. But he decided to do it anyway, and the children were all upset, so I had to go back to Columbus and explain that he was really just kidding. But of course, you know, for those hunters out there, the deer will still have to have its deer season because that's how we manage the deer population through hunting.
You know, one of the nice things about talking about something like that, and you know this, Jim, too, is that we focus on all the big issues. There are a lot of them. We get very cynical about the politics down there. The reality is that if you cover a session, there are all these wonderful little measures like this that we also get a chance to look at.
This is what we call critter legislation.
Yes, it's been very interesting. The school brought all 85 of the first graders to the Capitol, and they were able to testify before Representative Allison's committee on their bill. And so it was a great learning experience.
A real civics lesson for them.
Exactly.
So, okay, let's go back to one of those big issues that we're all really looking to see resolve itself in the last few days of this session, the transportation bill, the $1 billion-plus transportation bill. As you know, you all passed it out of the House. It went over to the Senate, and the Senate made a number of changes. Tommy Williams' Transportation Committee made some changes, lowered the amount of the excise tax from 29.2 to 24 cents, added a $5 rental car fee, a few other provisions. Do you think that this bill, regardless of the changes, is destined for success, or are there problems that you see with it?
Well, it's a bill that will definitely be hammered out in conference committee. And whether or not our conferees can work something out is going to be the determining factor. But I believe it's a bill that will be decided on the 40th day because of the differences. You know, we want to pretend as though we're not really raising taxes, but we need to handle our transportation infrastructure. And we have to be bold enough and be statesmen and stateswomen enough to take care of what our citizens elect us to do. They elect us to take care of the needs of this state. And we cannot grow as a state unless we take care of our transportation infrastructure.
Do Democrats need a seat at the conferees table? Yeah.
Democrats need to have influence at the conferees table. I don't know, you know, the conferees will be determined by the speaker on our side. And, you know, Speaker has his discretion, just like all the other speakers before him. But I do believe Democrats will have to have some influence as to what happens at that table.
So back in 2012, when the state was we went for the T-SPLOST, the transportation tax, and there were 12 regions that got to vote on whether or not to raise taxes for transportation matters. Only 3 regions went along with it, and yours is in Columbus. Did the right, they would say, did the right thing in that sense, voted for T-SPLOST, right? Mm-hmm. So the question that some people have raised is, do you now, as a representative of Columbus, want to add more of a burden to the people down there after they voted for T-SPLOST in 2012?
Well, that was our first concern when we started talking about transportation, because our citizens did what we asked them to do. And the T-SPLOST projects are going very well, and it's working very well in Columbus. But we are still a part of Georgia, and there comes a time when, as representatives, we have to look out for not only our part of the state, but the entirety of our state of Georgia. And I am concerned that we not overburden our constituents, but we have to make sure that the economic engine of our state continues to go. And without transportation, we can't do that.
Yeah, I don't want to put you in the well, you can speak for all the House Democrats. I don't know if you can speak for the Senate Democrats, but what kind of emphasis will you folks be insisting on when it comes to transit? Because it was clearly cut out in a large part in the Senate version.
Well, transit was very important to us in the House, and that was part of the reason why so many Democrats in the House voted for the initiative, because for the first time, we were going to include transit and we were going to alleviate some of the burden that MARTA has in terms of its funding. So that's something that we're going to be very carefully looking at, and that's something that we're going to need in order for us to continue to be supportive of that bill.
And of course, another issue that especially the Black Caucus looked at was minority contractors. And there still is nothing in writing that specifies that there will be a formula for adding minority contractors to the road projects, right?
Right.
So what are you looking for there? Do you really think anything is going to come of this? It's not going to work as an amendment? Is this just going to be promise of some sort? How do you deal with that?
Well, the only thing that we have right now is a letter from the department that they're going to do a disparity study, and they're going to work on it from that perspective. I don't think realistically we're going to be able to put that in legislation, because it's just not going to happen.
Okay, we are out of time. Representative Hughley, it's a pleasure to have you here. Interesting way to spend your 11th session in the Georgia General Assembly. And of course, Jim Galloway, it's great to have you here as well. So we are now finished with day 35 of the 2015 legislative session. We're going to be back tomorrow night with full coverage of day 36. It should be a big day. It's a day we do think the education bill will come to the floor. In the meantime, we hope you'll stay in touch with us on social media, or you can email us at lawmakers@gpb.org. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. I'm Bill Nigut. Have a great evening.
This is a GPB original production.